Okay, this is a test run, live chat. I'll answer any of your questions you might have. Until I get some questions, we'll just have a peaceful walk. Something rustling over there. It's a little animal or something. You know, something great about the creation and just observing it. It's peaceful. It's one of those things, we're getting into a wide open area here, but it's one of those things that in the beauty of God, you look at all the beauty, everything that exists, the fact it does exist. I believe it might have been a rabbit. Oh, it's a squirrel, I think. Anyway, just like that, the squirrel going about his day, existing, this great sum and substance of the universe that we live in, and we have the great honor of being alive. So often people get caught up in the cares of the world, looking around, what's going on, the things they don't want, and not recognizing what a privilege it is to be alive. Not seeing that there are billions of people who aren't alive, billions who didn't make it past childhood, and yet we get to be alive and live and exist and live and move and have our being in Him. It's truly a glorious thing. You know, it's interesting, the science is coming out more and more about something called earthing or grounding, where you, because our ancestors would have walked around predominantly barefoot, and they would have had contact with the earth, got beneficial electrons that help heal the body. It's part of God's creation. And yet, since we wear shoes and walk on concrete, we don't experience that much anymore. Now, you don't have to walk barefoot because obviously you might step on glass or something, but literally it's as simple as just you could touch plant life, anything that grounds you. There's grounding mats and things like that, but it's very beneficial to you and healing to the body. But it's just one of those things that's part of the creation, part of the way God originally designed things to be. He didn't design you to be sick. He didn't design you to be broke. He didn't desire you to lack or go without. Even in the very ground you walk on was provision made that you could be restored to health. I'm hoping we'll see some more little animals. We'll see. You never know what's out here. I see some more people have jumped in. If you let me know if the audio sounds good. And if you have any questions about the law of attraction, success, business, life in general, happy to answer anything I can. It just really is amazing. If you think of all the life that exists out there, all of the planets, everything that exists, and yet here we are, we're alive. And I don't want people to take that for granted. That is such a blessing. Every day I'm thankful to God for being alive. I'm thankful for health and all the blessings He's bestowed upon me, but just the gift of life alone, that you can make and do and be whatever you want to be. You can also choose to be like everyone else, to be mediocre. But that's not what you're created to be. There's no power, no gifting, nothing that you are withheld. It's just a matter of whether you choose to receive it or not. Now, you can choose to believe that you're a victim, to believe that you're somehow disadvantaged in some way. But that makes it so only because you've chosen to believe it. And Jesus said, according to your faith, be it unto you. But that's not what most people want. Most people choose to accept that because their family did, their parents did, their grandparents, guardians, whoever. And so that's all they've seen. And very few snap out of that programming to even question it. So there's never a thought that maybe something could be different for me. Maybe I don't have to be like my father, or like my mother, or like my grandparents, or whoever. Whoever you think is somehow the mold that you must conform to. The mold you must conform to is God, being like Him, being as close to being like Him as you can be, because you're created in His image and likeness. And that's very important to note, because when you think of it that way, when you think of God as your partner in business, in life, your sustainer, your supplier, your healer, everything, and you walk through life with that knowledge, that confidence, it's not about you. So maybe you're not the best. That's all right, because your partner's God. So it wouldn't matter if you're the best or not. And when we see all the creation that exists, so little, nothing's left to chance actually. So much available, so much abundance. And yes, there's an abundance for you as well. There's no lack, there's no limitation, unless you allow it, unless you accept that. I look around at the creation and just see abundance. Just look at all these plants. Just take it down to a bare minimum. Look at the leaves. There's hundreds and thousands and millions of leaves. There's such an abundance. Even the plants are accounted for and abundantly provided. They're overgrowing because there's so much abundance. There just simply is no limitation in Him. You know, the scripture talks about that the children of Israel, they limited the Holy One of Israel. He's not limited. They limited Him because they couldn't have the faith to believe for the bare minimum of God being their provider, being their sustainer, being their all in all. And so they, of course, didn't get that. And all the judgments and punishments of God in Scripture so often are more the lack of blessing than they are any real punishment, because it's just people cursing themselves, doing things that are bringing negative results upon themselves because they choose not to believe. But according to your faith be it unto you. So you can choose today to believe for life and blessing, abundance, opulence, luxury, wealth, health. Or you can choose to believe for all the opposites. You could choose to believe just for mediocrity. Well, you don't want to be sick, but maybe you'll be a little overweight. Just mediocre. Oh, you don't want to be broke and poor, but maybe you just won't have enough money to do the things that you really know you should be doing. Now, I know when I was a kid growing up, I remember seeing these commercials of these kids starving in various countries, normally in Africa. And the idea was that these people can't do for themselves. You need to give some money so they can be helped and fed. And so a lot of times we've had from early childhood, I remember being told when I didn't want to eat something on my plate as a kid, there are starving kids in Africa, and that was a way of guilting me into eating more food, or eating food I didn't want to eat. And yet there's enough abundance for all those children as well as me, and I don't have to eat the things I don't want to eat. See, too often people are suffering and going through things they think that somehow they have to go through. You got to eat that stuff on your plate you don't like. No, you don't. There's an abundance available to you of good things. The scripture says, no good thing will he withhold. So no good thing will be withheld from you. But you have to believe. Some birds. You know, seeing the birds out here, it's one of those things that God talked about. Jesus said specifically that he cares for the sparrow. Yes, he cares for you. If he cares for these little birds, of which there are billions of them on this planet, yes, he cares for you infinitely more. You do not have to suffer. You do not have to go without. You don't have to be without any good thing. No good thing will he withhold from you if you'll choose to walk in faith, confidence, righteousness, doing the right things, making the right actions, and taking action. Just sitting around all day, meditating and praying is not going to take action. You got to take some action. So my friend, I pray this was a blessing for you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I will answer them later. May God bless you richly.